Marsha, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the call.
Thank you for wanting me to be on the call.
Yeah. I've been hosting these interviews with our most successful and inspirational clients. And I'm like, who would be such a great fit for this? And of course, Marsha, Mighty Marsha is the one, right? You're such a positive influence on the group you were in. Everyone looked up to you. And I just wanted to get to know your thought process through it. And I think just sharing it with our audience, it can be really inspirational for them, just based on where you came from, where you are now, the success that you've had long term. I think it can really provide some great insight to people who are looking to change. So thank you.
I'm excited to do this.
Awesome. Yeah, so can you just tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not know you, just a little introduction?
So I am happily married. I have two kids, a grown adult son and a teenage girl. I work full time. I also teach part time. So I work full time as a social worker in the housing department, keeping people housed. And I work part time as a Zumba instructor in the gym. And yeah, but then my social, like what I love to do on the weekends besides work is dance. I love salsa. So I try to go out to salsa socials and dance.
Thanks, Marsha. So before all this, I know you've always been a great, positive, happy person, which is so nice. But still, you had some challenges or perhaps struggles in the past. Can you talk about that and like why it led you to reaching out to me and finding me?
So I've been small most of my life. Like I haven't ever been where I felt like I struggled with weight. But as I got older, I just found that certain weight stayed in a certain area and my body was shifting. And I knew that I felt like if I had a healthier life, I would live longer. I also felt I wanted to keep on being active. I also wanted to fit nicely in my clothes continuously. That was probably one of the biggest ones that I noticed. The difference, my clothes didn't fit the same. And I didn't want to go buy bigger clothes. I wanted to stay in the size that I was in. So I felt I have to do something about this. And then my husband now, he was fiance then, he was on the program. And I can't remember the year. I'm gonna say 2015.
No, I think it was 17 or 18. Yeah.
Remember when he was on it, I was so like, I was actually like, what are you doing? Because he really was like, you can eat anything you want as long as you know what you're eating. It's all but mindful. I'm like, mm-mm. And sometimes he'd come home and he would do like he would eat all day, and I didn't understand intermittent fasting. So he wouldn't eat all day, and I'd have a big meal at dinner, and I just didn't understand it. And I guess knowing is half the battle. Understanding and educating yourself is better. But I was totally against it, and then it worked for him. He was very happy with what happened to him, and I saw it too. And then when I was ready, and correct me if I'm right, 2021 I joined. Everything's
Yes.
a blur. Okay. So when I brought it up to him that I was not happy with my size and I just wish I can, oh, I was saying like, I'm trying everything I can, but nothing's, I'm always just feeling like I'm not losing any weight. And he's like, I got the right program for you. And I'm like, really? You brought up your program. And I was still like, I don't think I can do it because I felt like I had to buy new stuff or eat new food. And I'm very, very, very structured with my food. And I just had like no faith. I had zero faith. And he's like, just try it. Just try it. My gift to you. If you don't like it, then trust me, like just try it. So I tried it, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I remember Darren, because I didn't know you too well then. I think because we're both in the salsa scene, social dance with you a few times
Right.
in the past, but I never had a full-on conversation with you. And of course, I know Darren for years and years. We were on the same dance team, and we became good friends. So I remember when he was on the program and he was telling me about how you had a little skeptical eye, but he was always talking about how you perhaps may uh, would benefit from this. And I said, it's okay. Maybe it's not her time yet. And whenever that time may arise, then we can have that conversation and reach out. And then I do remember he did reach out to me And this was, I think, in the summer of 2020. And he was already talking about for you for January. And that's when everything started, the ball started rolling. And we had that, you filled out the assessment and we had a little discussion. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Based on what you said, and even though you mentioned, yeah, you're very structured and you had your way of doing it, things, I just know that like the type of person you were still positive and you're willing to try things. And of course, if it's going to benefit you, I knew that if we could bridge that gap where at the beginning, you know, there's a little bit of skepticism, but if I can just kind of meet you halfway and just get you moving, just slowly. And then once it starts rolling, I knew you would get it. And you did, you took off. I was like, whoa, slow down, Marsha. Everyone's looking back at like, looking for you, like, holy cow, Marsha's way ahead now. Yeah, you just took it and rock it. So yeah, it was an amazing for me as a coach to witness it, your evolution from where you started to where you ended and where you are now. So I'm just curious, and for anyone else who's watching, is from that skepticism to what you were able to accomplish, like what was it different? Like why do you feel this worked for you and long term?
So the main thing I would say is, and I still use this today, is consistency is the key. And I think for me, the fact that I didn't have to feel like I was on a diet, I didn't have to buy special foods. I didn't have to bring in all this new nutrients or become plant-based or choose food that I felt like I never even bought. I wanted to make sure that can I still buy the stuff that I usually buy, because I'm not a person that ventures off and have new foods. I'm not very adventurous that way. I'm really actually have a not a big palate, so I just stick to like what I know. So I was like, can I still, the fact that I could still do that and be successful was such an attractive thing for me, because I wanted to make sure whatever I had to do didn't feel like I was not being myself. I didn't want it to feel like a project. I didn't want to feel like it was work. And I found in this program, it just, as you got into it and you got to the groove, you got in your groove, it just felt so natural that it became a lifestyle. It was even really good that I didn't have to think about exercise. If I decided to add that, it wasn't because of weight loss. It was more just for my health. And I started understanding that. That made it even less stressful. And as long as I just focused on the meals I eat, understand that it's more about mindful eating. That's how I saw it and that's how I interpret it. And just being consistent in what I put in my body.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that insight. So I've been doing interviews now too, like before anyone joins the program. So I actually go through an interview process to make sure that number one, I can help that individual, and number two, that they will be able to complete the program and do the required expectations and commitment. So what I always tell them, and they don't understand kind of at the beginning, is I want to work with the authentic you. So exactly what you said, I never want to try to mold someone to the way I like to do it, but rather give you the tools and the concepts, and we mold the program to you, right? So as you saw, like you said, you're very structured. Maybe you didn't have a very diverse palette at the time, but we worked together, and we just tried to slowly add things in for you to try, but do it in a way that is authentic to Marsha. And like you said, that's how that natural progression came, and why I feel you were successful, because there was nothing forced. There was nothing that you needed or had to do. I gave you the concepts and the tools, but it was up to you to implement that. And of course, it doesn't work maybe right away, but with consistency, that's when the magic started to happen. So I remember even in week 3, we made a post on Facebook, and just the way your plate, the portions of those nutrient dense options, how much you've added, just within 3 short weeks, you were able to find something that you enjoyed, that you were able to be consistent with, and start adding it in volume. It was great to see in such a short time how someone could change with just a little nudge. And of course, you know, you have to be consistent and try it. But that's what I liked about you. You weren't afraid, even though perhaps at the beginning there may have been some hesitation, but you said, let's just try it. Let's give it a go. and let me see how I can make it work for me. And that's what was great about you. You put in the work, you put in the time, you were consistent, and you were successful.
Even
And the
down to
second thing,
pasta. Pasta was a big thing in my household. And I never, Darren would say, do you think maybe you could have less pasta in the week? I go, it's not the pasta that's causing me to be this way. It's not the pasta. And to this day, I'm not even lying. I probably have pasta like, and not that it's pasta is a bad thing, but it didn't work for me because I do believe pasta for me gets me bloated and whatnot. So, but I wasn't really seeing that before your program. And then when you use the word nutrient dense and useless calories, like that's not going to really be nutrients to you. I always had that in my head that I'll have pasta, but it's like that's a treat for me, and I'll have it not every day. And I found that worked for me, or even down to my yogurt. I used to have yogurt all the time. It was, but the one that I was buying wasn't the Greek yogurt, and you started eating the Greek yogurt, and I never understood it because like, not for me. And then one day we had the grocery haul, and I said, okay, fine. I compared the yogurt that I had with the Greek yogurt, and I realized, whoa, that little change alone is going to make a difference. So I tried it, and to this day, I'm still doing Greek yogurt with fruit.
So great. Yeah, again, it's just those little changes and that can make a difference. Everyone thinks that when you do something like this, there's going to be a big overhaul. You can sometimes it looks like a big overhaul at the end of 12 weeks when someone just looks at the end result and what you did before, but they don't realize it's a day-to-day thing, right? We work together every day to make those changes and experiment. And sometimes it doesn't always work in the sense where you try something and yeah, maybe you didn't enjoy it. And that's okay too, because that's part of the process, is really just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, right? Just to back up to what and rewind, what I like you said too is about the exercise not being like a mandatory component. So that's another thing I tell new prospects for the Genesis program is there's no mandatory exercise. Like you said, it's a complement, and I do encourage it for your health. If you want to get faster, stronger, better condition, for your mental health, yeah, for sure, do it. But it's not a necessary means for fat and weight loss. And I think once people understand that, and you can drive this 100% through food, it takes the stress off of having to work out or exercise. Because people think when it becomes a chore or a need or like you have to do it, it becomes a burden, right? And then you don't enjoy it anymore. But when we take those two things and separate it, food, weight loss, and exercise, then it's something that you want to do, you can do, you're going to choose to do it, and it's not for fat or weight loss. So that stress is gone, and now you're doing it for enjoyment, for your health. And that's great, because I know you love to exercise, and to this day you still like to be active, but you totally separated those two things. And I feel that mindset, when you have that mindset, it just makes everything so much easier and so much more relaxed. Yeah, so thanks for mentioning that. You were like such a catalyst in our group. You're so positive because everything you did, you supported your team. You were always spearheading a lot of things, like being the one to initiate. Whenever I had a new task, you were always out there doing it. So you're like the co-captain almost, right, of the team. So everyone looked up to you. And what was interesting is when we did your transformation, got a lot of people interested and inspired with your story. So you referred a lot of people to the program who did amazingly well. So I'm just curious too, who you feel like this type of program would be for, and why did those people who reached out to you, they ended up joining? So you probably have good insight on that because you know these types of individuals. So just curious who you think the type of person would be a good fit for this.
I think definitely someone that is committed, like has a committed mindset. So definitely your mindset for sure. Knowing your goal, knowing your why, like why do I want to do this, and having that why strong enough. So the ones that I can remember, I could refer, they were serious, and they weren't just like, I just want to lose the weight. It was like, I want to be healthier. I want to live longer. I want to put healthy stuff in my body. So when they have a bigger picture, not just one situation, I found that they would be more successful. Also, an individual who knows themselves too. know what they can tolerate from what they can't tolerate, because it may not be for everybody. Maybe people don't want to count calories, but if you don't know that about yourself, okay, what can I tolerate? Who am I?
Right.
And you'll have a better success when you know who you are.
Yeah, that's great. I love everything you mentioned because that's another thing that people don't realize. So when we do the transformation posts, everyone gets attracted to the before and after because I feel that's what people like to see, but it's not always necessarily what they actually need. Of course, weight loss is great, feel like having that clothes fit better, looking better, but it's that internal transformation. When you start to understand your why are you doing this? That's going to actually drive you. And because as you know, sometimes when you do these journeys, the weight doesn't always come down as fast as you want. It can fluctuate. And if that's all you're focused on, it can make this journey really difficult. But when you internalize these things, like you mentioned, what is my why? I want to be healthier. Then the weight, of course, is still there, but that's not the only driver for why you're doing this. So you have all these other factors involved. And I feel that's what's going to push you along and keep you successful in the long term. What's also interesting, Marsha, is when I attended your amazing wedding, by the way, I felt like I was in a music video the whole time. I was like dancing. It was so fun at your wedding. But what was cool is we were introducing people to the guests, and we didn't know. And a few were saying, "Oh, you're the guy that changed Marsha." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I was just there as part of her journey. Marsha changed Marsha." Okay, so I want people to understand this too. Uh, Coaches don't make you lose weight. We are here to help, and we are here to guide you. A great coach, in my opinion, is going to empower the individual to do it themselves. Okay, so and that's what it was. I'm here to help you guys. It's not a shortcut, right? You still have to go through the journey, but I will try to remove obstacles and make it a little bit easier to get to where you want to go. But at the end of the day, you still have to implement and do it. You have to show up and do it. And that's what was great about you. And this is what I want people to understand. And when you're the one who's actually driving it, so as I always said, everyone says it's cheesy, but you're the captain, I'm just a navigator. But as the captain, if you're the one who's steering and doing everything, you're going to own your transformation. And this is how you're going to be successful long term, rather than people telling you what to do. And this is why we don't do diets. We don't do any meal plans. Like I don't tell you eat exactly this, exactly that. Don't eat this, don't eat that. Stop eating at this time, because those are so many rules and that's not going to work. And it's not teaching you anything. Whereas when you're given the control and you do it, you make those mistakes, but you learn, adapt, improve. That's how the transformation happens. And I feel this is why you were so successful, Marsha.
Time to also, like you said, I didn't focus on the end result. I was during a few weeks after I found that let me focus on the journey so much that I ended up creating the page on Instagram, which isn't active right now, but that was kind of like also my kept me motivated. So I was just focusing on the journey as it is, as opposed to, well, what am I going to get to? I want to be this, I have to get to that. I was just focused on day in and day out when I get up and what I can do during the journey. And that's I think made it even easier when you can focus on every day is just, this is your journey. This is your steps. You're going to get, don't worry about the end result.
And I think that is key, especially for a lifestyle. So this is what I always try to tell our clients is we're together for a short time, 12 weeks, but the real goal is for me to enable you guys to do this long term. So yeah, don't focus on the result, but focus on the process, the day in to day out, because that is really what's going to keep you successful long term. And this is what I want people to understand too. This whole thing, this whole health and wellness, it's not a 12-week thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifetime. So you have to really find something that you can do every day that is going to work for you. And that's what they say, right? Success is the secret to success is hidden in your daily routine. But that's also failure. If you're doing the wrong things every day, that's going to lead to failure. So we try to focus on the things that we can do right consistently, not perfection, but consistently. And if you could do that every day consistently, then you'll likely be okay in the long term. And I think, Marsha, you're the epitome of that right now still, because I still see you. I saw you in the flesh
Yeah.
on your wedding, and everyone was complimenting you too, and you looked awesome, and everyone was saying, yeah, Marsha, you did this tomorrow. I'm like, nope, I didn't do it. I'm not taking credit. She did it all. She's the one who showed up. I was just happy and had the opportunity to be part of her journey.
Tell
So
everybody how happy that you have this program. And I think like lifestyle is such, I like that word. It is a lifestyle. And once you understand it, and again, it's a mind shift. You have to also be ready in the mind, 100%. Because then it's, if your mind's not really there, it's easier to say, okay, I can't finish. I'm going to not do it. But
right.
it's nice that if you incorporate in your lifestyle and you're not changing your life too much, you'll find you'll stay consistent easier.
Yeah. That's awesome, Marsha. So that's all I had, and that's all I wanted to cover. I think we did a great job, really just showing how that whole process works again, and why you were successful. So I just want to thank you so much again for taking the time to do this, for being such a great catalyst and inspiration in not just your group, but to everyone around you. I feel like everyone who meets you or gets to know you is surrounded with so much positivity. And I think that's why I like this type of interview, like with someone like you, because they see someone who was good become great and still doing amazing. And I feel everyone deserves this type of happiness that you have. It's available, and I want everyone to experience it. And you know that I love to show these types of stories because it's very awesome and inspirational for me as well as a coach. And I had a really great experience. I learned a lot. I grew as a coach too, and it just made it such a fun time. So I was happy to have you on our program. Thank you,
Thank
Marsha.
you for the coach that you are, because you're great at what you do too, and it takes two to tango. So thank you.
Okay, Marsha, have a great night, and hopefully we'll see each other on the dance floor.
Hey.
All right, take care.